You're unmuted, Rishith. Just speak up to say your question. Okay, Rishith, I'll open up the chat if you want to type in the question instead. I can't hear you. Okay, K, two-letter K looks like this. Next phonogram, ch, three-letter ch, used only after a single vowel, which says a, I, a. Ch, three-letter ch. Ch, three-letter ch. Looks like this. Next, please write j, three-letter j, used after a single vowel, which says a, I, a. Very interesting tag. Only last 2 weeks if we didn't have animals and people. Rishith, you can type in your question if you want. And last phonogram to write is G, two-letter G, always followed by a vowel. G, two-letter G, always followed by a vowel. GU is what you should have there. Okay, boys and girls, I was opening up the chat just for Rishith since he was trying to say something. Okay, maybe after phonograms, but nobody else should be using the chat right now because you should be actively writing your phonograms. I'll let you share after our spelling time, Rishith. Okay, time for some spelling words to review now. Let's begin with necessary. Necessary. In the spelling quiz, I noticed some people did not write all of the phonograms. Notice that we say s twice. Necessary. Sound it out as you write to make sure you have every phonogram. I saw some people say necessary, basically. Sound out necessary. I see Kruthi doing a good job of that, sounding it out as she writes. Necessary. Excellent. Sound it out as you write. Arshav, I'm not sure if it's a problem with your internet or if your camera is off, but please make sure that you keep your camera on the whole time. Maybe it's just a connection issue. I can't see Rishith either. Or Josiah, or I mean Harika. Necessary. Actually, I think that syllable break is there, but necessary. N-E-C-E-S-S. Make sure you have that double S. Now, very similar spelling pattern with necessity. Please write that next. Necessity. Very similar spelling pattern. Just the last 3 letters that change. Necessity looks like this. Great job. Once again, it really is helpful to sound it out and, like Josiah, marking it still to really be making sure you have every phonogram. Next word, achieve. This is one I saw quite a few mistakes on the quiz. Achieve and achieves. Do you remember what makes the E sound in the word? I want everyone to lower their hands so I can really see who's got an answer to the question. Who remembers what makes the E sound? Kruti?
E-I piece of pie.
Good, E-I piece of pie. Saw a lot of people flipping those letters or writing just an I. We would say that achieves. We needed to say achieves, though. And remember the spelling rule, I before E except after C. And when it sounds like A, achieve and achieves should look like this. Okay, let's do a few more. This is one that quite a few people made mistakes on as well. Acquire. It's a tough one. Remember, we think to spell acquire. Acquire. And that second syllable, choir, we do not spell like a choir that sings. We spell it the way it sounds. Acquire. Acquire, we think to spell acquire. Great job, everybody. It should look like this. Acquire. Last word for today is receive. Receive. Now this E sound comes after a C. So remember the spelling pattern. I before E except after C. Do we use the EI piece of pie phonogram in this word? No, we do not. Because it comes after a letter C, we don't use the EI piece of pie phonogram. That's usually what we use, but not this time because it comes after the letter C. Hold up your board so I can see receive. And underline the phonogram that makes the E sound. Oh, Aryant, you did a bonus word, receiver. Nice. That was not a spelling word, but great job. Okay, check that you have the phonogram AE that we do not use at the end of English words. Tig, it looks like you've got the EI piece of pie. Can you switch it to AE? Arshab, make sure you're holding up your board after every single word. It looks like you are just watching. Make sure you are writing each word. That was the last review word, receive. So if you still haven't done that, write receive, and then we'll take out things for a new spelling lesson. Oh, and capture, another bonus word from Arianch. Thank you, Arshab. Okay, boys and girls, time for a new spelling lesson. Oh, and here's Sahanasri. Yes, Josiah?
When Ani answered Catcher, his name is Catcher.
Oh, your dog's name is Catcher. How cute. Good morning, Sahanasri. You missed our spelling review time, unfortunately, but we're about to start a spelling lesson. Is everything okay today?
Yeah, I still reflect.
Okay. Sweetheart, I'm afraid I have to mark you as tardy and everybody else as well. If you're late to class, I have to mark you as tardy. So make sure you set an alarm to get up right on time so we can get to class at 8:30, okay? Okay, boys and girls, for our new spelling lesson, we're going to begin with the word necktie. How do you say necktie?
Necktie.
Necktie is a compound word, meaning it's two words put together to make a new word. Neck and tie. What is a necktie? Tag? Necktie?
It's like a little tie that you tie around your neck. I've never seen one, but I'm guessing that's an accurate description.
I think I've seen it.
Emma, do you want to elaborate?
A necktie is like, it's this long tie that has a little knot right here, and then it goes down.
That's exactly right. It's what we usually abbreviate to just say it's a tie. Like what men wear to go to an office, to look formal.
My baby
But the
brother
technical
has
term
a tie.
is necktie. So how many of you have dads that wear neckties occasionally? Yeah. So necktie makes sense because it's around your neck. Sound it out with me. Necktie, 2 syllables. In the first syllable, what are the sounds? Neck, 3 sounds. The k is k, 2-letter k, used after a single vowel, which says And the second syllable, tie, I, uses EI, piece of pie, the backwards phonogram. Please pick up your pencil and write necktie. Necktie. I'm going to start using this dotted line paper for our spelling in cursive. It'll look a little different. Neck. Neck. Syllable break. Sorry. Necktie. Check that your spelling matches fine. If you made any mistakes, cross it out and rewrite it, please. Okay, for our markings, we're going to underline k, 2-letter k, used after a single vowel, which says a. And in tie, we've got the phonogram EI. Put a 2 on top. It's the second sound. Necktie is a thing that you wear. So because it's a thing, the part of speech is a noun. Okay, the next word is a person who might wear a necktie. Musician. Would you say musician? Musician. So I'm thinking of like in an orchestra, there might be a violin player with a necktie looking quite formal. Although obviously some musicians are like musicians in a rock band and they probably wouldn't wear a necktie. So who here in class is a musician? Does anybody play a musical instrument?
I kind of play the drums. Only kind of, though.
I kind of want to
We're
learn.
having some slow connection. I'm afraid I can't quite hear some of you.
I play the violin and the piano.
Oh, that's great.
I want to play the piano, and my mom wants to play the ukulele, and my sister wants to play the violin.
Oh, all of those sound really fun.
I play the harp.
I can play the drums.
My mom,
I can play the
Wow, so a
piano.
lot of musical people in class.
my mom worked on a cello.
What,
and
Alexander?
I played the piano.
Wait, you play the cello?
No, my mom played the cello, and then I'm learning the piano.
Oh, great. Having a musical instrument that you learn brings a lot of joy in your life, but also it's actually good for your brain. Like it really does help you with other parts of your life to learn a musical instrument. So I'm so glad to hear many of you do that.
Yeah,
Okay, so our word is musician. Would you sound it out with me? Musician, 3 syllables. We think to spell musician though, okay? Musician, 3 syllables. Music is the base word, and that is going to be in this word, spelled the exact same. So the U sound in the word is just you saying its name in an open syllable. Music, the Z is Z. And what phonogram will make the sh sound, Dikshita? Musician.
CI phonogram.
Good, and we call that short letter sh. Would you say that?
Short letter sh.
Short letter. Good. Short letter sh is what we use since the word letter C is at the end of music. So that's the phonogram we use for the sh sound. Pick up your pencil to write musician. The rest of that last syllable is basic code. I'm really not seeing cameras work very well, but I'm hoping that most of you are finished with the word. You, syllable break, musician. Z, I, syllable break, music. Sh, at, musician. Ariansh, would you unmute yourself and tell us what markings we need in this word?
underline short letter sh, and put a thinking cap over the A.
Perfect. Excellent. And one more marking in the first syllable. Do you know what it is?
Thinking cap the u.
Not exactly. We say musician. So it's actually you saying its name. We'll underline it. And Arianch, what part of speech do you think this is?
A noun.
If a musician is a person. Good, a noun. Okay. Our last word, the last two words go together. Now, musicians, especially professional musicians, have to rehearse very often. Rehearse means practice, but unlike practice, which could mean practicing like you could have basketball practice, you could practice your math facts. Rehearse means practicing for performance. Yeah, you could have a dance rehearsal. And to rehearse means like you're practicing for a specific recital or some sort of concert, right? Like there's an event that you're preparing for. Would you sound out the word rehearse with me? Oh, it looks like Arianch has music that he's going to have to rehearse soon. Do you have a recital coming up, Arianch? I know probably for a lot of you, your normal spring recitals might be virtual recitals.
No, recital, but this is just the song I'm working on, which is extremely hard.
Oh, it does look pretty complicated.
I mean, it looks easy of the notes, but the way your fingers are, it's your second and fourth fingers are really for the third and fifth fingers.
Oh, okay. So it's just tricky because it's different than what you would normally do. So, okay, our word is rehearse. Would you say it with me? Rehearse. 2 syllables. Again, and Marcus, let's take that cap off and lift up your head high, please. Again, rehearse. 2 syllables. Great job, Harika. The E says its name in an open syllable for syllable 1. And the sound is the of early in this word. Rehearse. At the end of the word, we also need a silent final E, job 5, which is the S rule, so it doesn't look plural. Okay? Rehearse. Pick up your pencil to write it, please. Yes, Alexander?
You said the last 2 words go together, right?
Yeah, do you have a guess as to what the next one is?
Rehearsal.
You got it. Good job. Rehearse. E, syllable break. Huh. Using earlier of early. S, silent finally, job 5. Rehearse. Rishith, would you unmute yourself and tell us what markings we need in the word?
Can you hear?
Can you speak up a little louder?
Okay. Underline the EA.
Close. We're going to underline EAR, which is the earlier of early phonogram. What about in the first syllable?
Underline the E.
Perfect. It's saying its name. Over here, why do we have a silent final E?
Silent final E. Job 2.
Good guess, but no, it's job 5, the S rule, because otherwise it might look like it's rehears. So it is there for that reason. Now, what part of speech is rehearse in this sentence, Rishith? The musicians need to rehearse for the recital.
A verb.
Good, a verb. And boys and girls, our last word is, as Alexander guessed, rehearsal. So for that, we're going to have to drop the silent final E because the S is not at the end of the word anymore. And we add the al suffix, rehearsal. Like we had for national, political, capital, things like that. So rehearse al, please write it here. And show me a thumbs up when you're done with rehearsal. E, oops, let me redo that. E, syllable break. Syllable break. Starting a new syllable. Remember to drop that silent final E. Owl. Rehearsal. Harika, could you unmute yourself and tell us what markings we need for the word? Rehearsal is the way we say it.
Underline the earlier of early.
Excellent. What else?
Underline the E in the first syllable.
Very good. And remember we say rehearsal. So how do we mark the last syllable?
Thinking kept the A.
Perfect. Great job, Harika. A rehearsal is a noun. And that is all of our new spelling for today. Okay, take a moment to kind of stretch, take your eyes off the and we're going to get ready for some cursive. We've got 2 new letters to learn today. Kruthi looks ready for cursive. Are you enjoying cursive, Kruthi? Good. Yes, Alexander? Oh, and Arianch has kind of a placeholder. It's almost like we're switching between scenes in a play. It's cursive time.
Did Rishith get to tell his thing?
Oh, good idea. Yeah, Risha, this is a great time for you to share. What were you wanting to share earlier? Looks like he's away from the computer right now. Okay, if you have a little cursive handwriting booklet with some lined paper, this is a great time to take it out. Arianch has an example of that right now. So if you have one of those, you can take it out now. Or some of you, maybe your parents printed off some lined paper, the type that I shared with them on Parent Square and put a copy on Bright Thinker. So if you have some of that dotted lined paper, this is a great time to take it out. And if any of you are having a hard time with creating your own dotted line paper, as we've been doing lately, I would ask your parents if they could print off a couple copies of that paper. You only need about 1 paper for each week because we're only using a few lines each day. So I know it can be expensive to print things off, but really you only need about 1 paper per week to print off of that dotted lined paper. Okay, Rishith, now that you're back, would you like to share what you were going to share earlier?
It's actually already gone.
You forgot? I'm sorry. I hate when that happens.
I mean, I didn't forget, but it's already gone.
Okay, so it's just time to move on from it. Okay. So we learned the cursive letter A yesterday. Let's begin by practicing that. And then we'll learn a new letter. Okay, so cursive A should look like this. Remember, we start at the bottom baseline, we curve up from 10 to 2 on the clock, and then we trace it back in a circle until we're at 2 again, and then go down. That was the letter we learned yesterday, cursive A. Thumbs up if you feel pretty good about writing cursive A. Great. We are going to use the same connecting stroke today with the 2 new letters. Sorry, this has something underneath it that makes it bumpy. Let me fix that. There we go. Okay, the letters we're going to be learning today are cursive C and O, which are also short clock letters. Just as in print, the cursive clock, they're also cursive clock letters because they're round. And we're going to even use the terms around a clock. Like this is about 10 on the clock. This is about 2 on the clock, right? So I'll be using those terms as we do clock letters with cursive C and O. So let's start with cursive C. Cursive C begins with the same connecting stroke. Let me angle this so you can see better. Okay, so we begin at the bottom baseline, curve up from 10 over to 2. And just like the A, we actually trace back and we don't finish our circle at about 5 on the clock. We start to just come out like this. It kind of looks like a little wave. Do you see that? And when I go faster, a lot of times it looks a little better than when I'm going very slowly explaining it. This would be the best example of that cursive C. Kruti?
Your screen is blurry a little bit.
Yeah, it's really hard to
Okay,
see
so
what you did.
Definitely.
Okay, let me see if I can fix that. Is that any better? Good. Okay, let me go through the rest of that again. Starting at the bottom baseline, we have the same connecting stroke going from 10 to 2, and then we trace it back to 10 to about 8, 7, 6, 5 on the clock, and then we come out. And that would connect to another letter. Okay, so connecting stroke like yesterday, and then trace back, but instead of with the A coming all the way back around, we just come out. Great job, Tig. And this would be the best example. You want it to look like a manuscript C kind of, but it has that connecting stroke at the beginning that makes it look different. Deekshita, it looks like your camera might be turned off. Would you make sure it's turned on? Maybe it's a connection with the internet though. Yes, Kruti?
Your screen is blurry again.
Okay, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. I think that there's just a bunch of internet connection issues. And so we're going to try our best, but I will also post the alphabet I shared with your parents on Parent Square so that you all have another copy of what the letters should look like. And I'll talk through the steps one more time. So same connecting strokes with the A, but we trace back from 10 to 12 to 2, and then we go down to 7, then 6 on the clock, then 5, and then we come out. We don't complete our circle. We don't complete our clock. Great job. I'd love to see your handwriting for this. So just like Samhita has done, please hold up your letter C's when you're done. After you fill up a whole line, just like I did. Great job, Alina. And then we'll move on to our next letter. Sorry, boys and girls. It looks like there might be internet connection problems on my end because there are a lot of videos that aren't working for me either. We're going to persevere and try our best, though. Excellent job, everybody. Okay, time for our next letter. Our next letter is going to be very similar to the A. The letter O is not going to come back down to the bottom baseline, though. And I apologize that it'll be a little bit blurry, but listen as I go through the clock strokes. I'm going to explain it where it'd be on the clock. So we start at the bottom baseline. We curve up from 10 to 2 on the clock, and then we, you guessed it, trace it back to 12 and then 2, and then circle the clock going back to 6, over to 2. But instead of going back down, we make that little short curved dip that we practiced as one of the connecting strokes. So trace it, and then a little short curved dip going back up to the middle dotted line. The reason for that is that that is going to make it look different from the A. If we keep it up at the top or the middle dotted line, it's going to look different than the A, which comes back down. So keep it up at the end. Keep it up at that middle dotted line. Practice a few of those. Keeping it up at that middle dotted line. Tig, those look nice. Let's space them out a little bit more though, and try to have more of a full circle and a little less scrunched together. Hold up your C's and O's once you finish filling out your lines, please. And try to have a good full O, like a round block. Not as much like an oval, more like a full circle. Oh, nice, Tig. Let's see Deekshita's. Oh, really good, Deekshita. The one thing I'd say for you, Deekshita, is try to come all the way to the bottom baseline and then up to the middle dotted line each time. Use up that whole space. Arianch, those look great. So does yours, Alina. Nice job, Alexander. You guys have such wonderful handwriting. Oh, Kruthi, those are beautiful. Really nice. Sahanasri, I'm pinning yours to see it. Oh, very nice. Just remember to come all the way up, back up to that middle dotted line for the O's. Because if you drop it down, that looks like an A instead. Keep it up at that middle dotted line. Nice job, Emma. For yours, the main thing I'd say is just try to fill out as much space as you can between the bottom baseline and the middle dotted line. But I know it's hard when you make your own dotted paper. Oh, Dikshita, those are really nice. It looks like maybe you have looped an extra time though. Like that kind of. Can you watch one more time, Dikshita? There are actually some people who draw O's like that, but this is the way we're going to write. Trace it, and then stop right here, and then do the little curved dip. So we don't loop it again. Samhita, that's great. Okay, and that's all the cursive we're going to do for today. Now, we are able to not write a word, but I do want to practice just connecting those letters that we did into a nonsense word. Okay. A is what we just practiced. If we connect it to a C, it would look like this. And then over to an O, it would look like that. Or we can write the O, the O of boat phonogram. It would look like this. O stays up at the middle dotted line, and then it curves over to the A like that. Again, that was O over to the A. That's that connecting stroke we practiced. There's O, the O of boat. That's one of the tricky things I'd say about cursive is making sure you know how to connect the phonograms. So we'll make sure we practice that when we learn the letters. How do we connect them? That's how you connect an O with an A. If you've got a letter like O that ends up here, you keep it up at that middle dotted line before going down. So let's try the O, the O boat phonogram actually several more times, filling out the line. And then we'll be done. And again, you're not going to have any well-ordered language today. We're going to actually jump right into roots after you finish with this. When you're done with your O, the O of boat phonograms, would you hold it up? Oh, thank you, Kruthi. Although we don't need a little tail on the A at the beginning. Do you see this? And for yours, Ty, try to separate it out a little bit more. Let me do it one more time. It looks like this is a tough part for you guys. And we'll continue practicing connecting the letters. But O to an A looks like this. All right, here is O. Keep it up at the middle dotted line, and then you curve to a 2, then trace it back and come down. So the A doesn't start, it doesn't have anything over here. There's nothing there. O stays up here and then connects to the A. I know that's kind of tricky, so we'll keep practicing it. Okay, Emma, yours looks really nice, except that you've got it in the order of A and then O. Because anytime it drops down to that bottom baseline, it's an A. So if we keep it up at the middle dotted line, that's an O. Does that make sense? Okay, boys and girls, that's all we have time for. So we'll continue practicing this. We have some new letters tomorrow, but Friday's just a review day, so we can maybe practice more of connecting the letters on that day. That would be good. Time for some roots now, though. So you can put away your paper. You guys are really rocking this cursive. I wasn't sure how it was going to work virtually, but you guys are doing really well with it. I know it's hard when we have internet connection issues, though, and it's fuzzy to watch. So today we're going to be learning some new roots, derivatives of the word pro. Ariancha, I'm pinning your screen to see it better. Oh, those are perfect. If everybody takes a look at Ariancha's page, he did a great job of connecting the O to an A. We'll keep practicing that on Friday, but you can look to Ariancha's for a great example. That's one of the trickiest things, once again, of cursive is just knowing how to connect them. But you did a great job with that, Arianch. Okay, so we've got the word pro in Latin, which means a bunch of things. For, before, forward, or in place of. We also learned the word profess. Who remembers what the word profess means? Think of a professor. Dikshita?
To admit that one is an expert.
Good. If you profess something, it's saying you're an expert on it. Technically, even though some people don't use it in that way. Okay, so let's take out some new index cards. We are going to be using, let me see how many it was. We need 3. No, just 2 today, actually. We'll do 2 today, 2 tomorrow. So 2 index cards. And our first one goes along with profess, professional. Now, what is a professional baseball player, for example? What does it mean if they're a professional baseball player compared to just a baseball player in general? Emma?
A professional baseball player would be really good at it.
That's right. They're really good at it. Good enough that they can, that's their whole job. It's not just a fun hobby. They make a living off of it. So they are an expert at it. So professional in general means one who claims to be an expert. So if profess is to admit that one is an expert, professional is the person who says they're an expert. Okay, so let's write that on our card for today. Professional. We start by writing the word profess. Profess, and then is that sh phonogram, professional, and the al suffix. So the pro part is what connects to our Latin for the week. So a professional is one who claims to be an expert. I'm going to write it in the chat as well. Yes, Deekshita?
I know another word for pro.
What is it?
Professor.
Very good. Professor is not one of the derivatives in our book, but it definitely could be, because a professor is one who is an expert in an area that they teach. So I actually might make that a bonus word tomorrow, because we already did pronoun. We might do professor instead.
And another one, program.
Oh, good. I don't know about program, but that's a very good thought. Okay, boys and girls, the next one we'll write is prologue, which doesn't mean that they're an expert at being a log. Prologue is going to have actually this g, two-letter g, always followed by a vowel phonogram. And it comes from a Greek word, logos, which means word. So it's basically saying a word before something. Has anybody heard this word before? Prologue? Tig?
Okay, so I have these books called Dog Man, and in the beginning it has a prologue showing what happened in the earlier books.
Excellent example. Yep, so if you read ever series of books, sometimes there's a prologue at the beginning of the book that gives you a little background information, maybe summarizing all of the things that have already happened. Perfect example, Tig. So yes, a prologue is the words before the beginning of a play or book. Samhita, thank you so much for showing it. That's the Vikings Magic Treehouse book that she's shown a couple of times. Samhita, do you want to share what it says in that prologue? Is it about the Magic Treehouse series in general?
Yeah. What they did in the past book. So I'll just say in the Magic Treehouse books 8 to 12, they solved ancient riddles and became master librarians to help in their future tasks. Morgan gave Jack and Annie secret library cards with the letter ML on it. And so now they have to save a book from Vikings.
Oh, thank you so much for reading that. Yeah, so it's summarizing, just like Tig was saying for the Dogman series, what happened in the books before. Do any of you watch Star Wars? You know, the words that come through the screen and they scroll down and they say what happened before the start of Star Wars? That's basically a prologue.
My family just started watching Mandalorian.
Oh, how fun. That's a great thing to do as a whole family together.
I've been watching it for a very long time, and I'm only on chapter 6.
Oh. Well, that is such a fun thing to do as a family. You guys are at a good age for that. if your parents are okay with you watching those.
5 episodes.
Yes, Josiah, I see you've got a prologue in your Magic Tree house. Okay, so those are all of the roots for the week. Or sorry, not all of the roots for the week. We would normally be done by about now, but we've got a couple more tomorrow. So that last one, prologue, I'll write in the chat as well. Words before the beginning of a play or book. Okay, that is all for our literacy time. Oh, actually, we've got to write our words in orthography. Then we'll be ready for math. So page 52 is what you need to turn to in your orthography notebook. And we need a little bit of a moment to move around before we write our words. Can you all say the poem with me? Ella Telefoni. Ella Telefoni by Laura Elizabeth Richards. Once there was an elephant who tried to use the telephant. No, I mean an elephone who tried to use the telephone. Dear me, I'm not certain quite that even now I've got it right. However it was, he got his trunk entangled in the telefunk. The more he tried to get it free, the louder buzzed the telefee. I fear I'd better drop this song of Elefop and Telefong, Ella Telefoni by Laura Elizabeth Richards.
Miss
Okay,
Gardner,
yes, Amhita?
there's a book in Epic Telephone. It does the whole poem.
Oh, what is the name of the book?
Ella Telefoni.
Okay, I'll look for it in Epic and assign it to everybody. That would be fun to read. Okay, turn to page 52, and we are writing words for lesson, what is this? Lesson 57. The first one is necktie. Please write necktie. Okay, so it's kind of young for you guys. Oh yeah, it's kind of more kindergarten, but it is cute because it has the whole poem with some pictures of what's happening. I love that. I'll assign it to everybody. Very short. It should take you about 1 or 2 minutes to read. Okay, the second word is musician. Please write musician. Word 3 is rehearse. Rehearse. Harika, are you there? Rishith and Arshab, are you there? And Kruti, I can't see you either.
Yeah.
Okay, Rishith, I'm not sure if it's a problem with the internet or your camera is off, but please make sure that we keep the camera on the entire time. Arshab, you as well. There shouldn't ever be a time that you are turning it off. If you need to leave the room to do something, you can, but keep that camera on.
I think it's internet, so I'm just going to cut and rejoin.
Okay. The last word is rehearsal. Please write rehearsal. We think to spell rehearse al. Arshab, are you writing in your orthography notebook? Word 1, neck, tie. Word 2, musician. I don't know if we ended up putting a 2 on top of z. Oh, no, I forgot to do that before. But we should have a 2 on top. Word 3 is rehearse. And word 4, rehearsal. And we can bracket those two since they're connected. Check that your spelling and markings match mine. And then when you're done, we're going to take out our math workbook to go over the 2 problems you did for homework. All you needed to do were 2 problems, but who did all of the problems from the page? Great job if you did extra. That means that you're done with your math work for today, other than practicing your division facts. But I had you do only 2 just in case it's taking you a long, long time to walk through the steps of long division. And today we're going to spend extra time going over those steps again when we have some remainders in different place values. Okay. No sorting today. I want to get started right away, so we're not going to sort anything in orthography. How did you all feel about the problems from yesterday? Whether you did 2 or whether you did all 8, how did you feel about those long division problems with regrouping? Thumbs up if you felt confident in doing those, all those steps. Sideways if you were a little confused, maybe you had to get some help from your parents. Hopefully you looked at the notes and maybe some of the extra division resources that I shared. Did you guys get that message I sent on Bright Thinker that I'm adding a folder with some videos and some websites that share all those steps? Because sometimes seeing them color-coded on that website is a little bit more helpful than the ones that we do in our notes. Thumbs down if you felt really lost when you did those long division steps completely on your own yesterday, though. Okay. Thumbs up if you felt really confident. Thumbs down if you felt really lost. Sideways if you're somewhere in the middle. Okay. Looks like nobody's a total thumbs down, so that's good. We've only done 1 day of this, and we're going to continue doing it for a few more days. So hopefully with more practice, it gets better and better. Now, how many of you did look at some of those resources I shared? I think it was maybe 2 videos that I posted, plus a few websites that list all of those steps that we went through. Some of them were color-coded, and sometimes seeing it in a different way can help. Kruti, you sent a message to me that that was helpful to you. Can you tell us what was helpful?
Because first of all, I was like, what? I didn't understand everything. But then like whenever I watched some of the videos, I felt a little better because I don't know why, I just felt better.
Good. I'm glad that they were helpful.
Did it. Because like if I didn't like understand something, I could just pause the video or like go back.
Yes, definitely.
So that was helpful.
Good. It's almost like rewatching class again, in a way. And they say it in a different way, including one of the videos which talks about instead of having a D for divide, it was, I think, H for how many. Like how many 3s are in 7. And it phrases it in that way. So maybe that's a way that makes more sense to you. You are welcome to think of it that way and even start writing an H for how many instead of D for divide if you watch that video and were helped by it. You're still doing the exact same thing. It's just saying it in a little different way. Yes, Aryach?
So I finished all the problems on page 155, but
Excellent.
on our to-do list it says finish page 155. What if you're already done with it?
Then as soon as you're done practicing your division flashcards, you can just click done with that assignment. That is just a reminder there for those students who didn't finish all of the page. So it's going to be a really quick thing for you to finish and then just check done.
It's actually something that you have to upload.
Oh, did I have upload for that? Okay. Sorry, let me actually change that. I've already gotten your steps from the other day. So, okay, it should be gone now. So all you have to do is check done for it once you re-upload the page. Okay, boys and girls, something else that I forgot to tell you guys yesterday, I told my 11:30 class, but this is a little chant that I used with my class last year to help you remember the steps and get you a little bit more active in remembering what to do. Now, remember that dangerous monkeys swipe bananas, DMSB, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Well, here's a little chant to teach you the same steps. Can you all put your hands out like this, like we do underlining a phonogram in literacy time, and make a fist punching the air at the top and bottom to make a division symbol? Okay, that is the first step of long division. Divide. Say it with me. Divide. Good. Our next step is multiply. Put your hands out in an X. Multiply. Our next step, come on, Arshad, is to subtract. That's all it is, just an underline this time. And the last step of long division is to bring it down. So this is what I want you to do. Bring it down. Bring it down. And you can even drop out of the camera view for a second. Bring it down. Make it into a dance move. Okay, let's go through all 4 steps. Divide. Multiply. Subtract. Bring it down. Again, divide. Multiply. Subtract. Bring it down. Who'd like to try it out for us? Let's hear Harika do it.
Yeah.
Divide, multiply, subtract, bring it down.
You got it. Samhita, can you do it for us next?
Divide, multiply, subtract, bring it down.
Good job. And one more from Kruthi.
Yeah.
Oh, and actually then Josiah.
Divide, multiply, subtract, bring it down.
Good. And finally, Josiah.
Divide, multiply, subtract, bring it down.
I love it. You guys are doing it. So we're going to be reviewing that as we review the steps in long division over the next few days. If it helps you better to think of the dangerous monkeys swipe bananas, then you can use that way of remembering instead. Okay, now some of you did the whole page doing all of these long division problems yesterday, but some of you only did 2. We're going to go over just 2 problems, numbers 1 and 2 today. We'll go over the rest of the answers tomorrow. Okay, so let's go over the steps and actually review all of the steps for solving these 2 problems. Is everybody on page 155 in their workbook? You should all be on page 155. We're going over the answers to your homework. Sahanasri, could you tell us the steps in solving this first problem? Number 1. Remember to divide, multiply, subtract, bring it down, and repeat. If
First, you need to multiply. Wait, no. Divide 2 divided by 3.
3 divided by 2.
And then that gives you
And give me the Del Saros as well.
Wait. Is the order 3 divided by 2 or 2 divided by 3?
It's 3 divided by 2. Or said another way, Sahanasri, how many 2s are in 3?
Sounds good. All right. After adding, I'll let you know. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Bye.
Let's look at some base 10 blocks. This is 32 divided by 2. How many 2s are in 3?
Zero.
Just one. Here's one group of 2 in 3. Now, even though it does not evenly divide, that's not what the question is. We're trying to think, how many 2s are in 3? Well, we've got one group of 2. Is there enough for 2 groups of 2? Nope. We have just enough for one group of 2. So we write the answer here. Does that make sense, Sahanasri?
Yeah.
So that's how I want you to think of it. How many 2s are in 3? Here's 1 2 in 3. Okay, now for our multiply step. Multiply 1 times 2, Sahanasri.
1 times 2 is 2.
Good, and we put it right underneath the 3. And then we subtract. This is going to show us how many we have left over. How many 10s are left? 3 minus 2
3
is?
minus 2 is 1.
1 10. That's
One.
right. Then we're going to bring down that 2. So we have 12 that we're going to divide into 2 groups. We go back up to the top step. Divide again. What's 12 divided by 3?
12 divided by 3 is 4.
Excellent. And that one actually divides evenly. So that's a little easier, right? Because 12 divided by 3 is exactly 4. Now, oh, sorry, we're not dividing by 3. I'm sorry, you guys are probably very confused by that. We're dividing by 2. What's 12 divided by 2, Sahanasri?
6.
6 is correct. And once again, that one evenly divides. And then 6 times 2, we know is 12. And look, there's a 0 there because there's nothing left over. Who got 16 as an answer? 16 should be the quotient.
I accidentally put it a wrong number.
Okay, do you see where you made the mistake though? Okay, and once again, with more and more practice, hopefully you start to correct any little mistake that was happening. Emma, could you walk us through the steps of number 2 now? 78 divided by 3.
So first,
So we're going to divide 7 by 3, or said another way, how many 3s are in 7? How many 3s?
2.
Good, because 3 times 2 is 6. That's the most we can do without going over. What's the next step?
And then the next step is 2 times 3.
Good. 2 times 3, which is?
6.
Good. We're going to subtract that to get an answer of 1. That's basically telling us we've got 2 groups of 3 and we still have 1 10 left over. And now we bring down that 8 to see how many extra 1s we have as well.
And then
Now, how many times does 3 go into 18? This is not going to be an even division. Oh, I'm sorry, it is. I was looking at the wrong one. We are going to have an even division here. 3 times what number is 18?
6.
Good. 3 times 6 is 18, and once we subtract, we see there's 0 remaining because 18 divides evenly into 3 groups. Thumbs up if you all got the answer of 26, like Emma. Good. Right? If you only did those 2 problems, your homework for today is to finish the rest of this page. Right? We're going to now switch over to our notebook, though, and do a couple more practice problems in our notebook. Yes, Kruthi?
For the math, it still shows the submit thing.
If you reload the page, it should change.
Okay.
But you'll have to exit out of the assignment and get back into it. Whenever I make changes on my side, it doesn't register until you exit out of it, and even like don't save it. You just exit out of it and then come back. Okay, boys and girls, today we're not going to do anything new. We are just reviewing those long division steps again. But I do want you to write a header at the top of your page. Today is January 13th. Today's is still math lesson 8.5 again. Now, it looks like for some of you, one of the hard things is if there is a problem like 7 divided by 3, knowing what to write. Could you give me a show of hands if that's true for you? If you see that you're like trying to divide 7 tens by 3, you have a hard time with that because it doesn't divide evenly. Is that true for you? Okay, let's do just that one time and walk through that part of the long division process. Now I'm going to write it like a long division problem. If we have 7 that we want to divide by 3, well, the first step, as we've learned with division, is to think of it like a multiplication problem. 3 times what is 7? But is that one of our math facts? No. 7 is not on a times table of multiplying by 3. So instead of evenly dividing, there's going to be a remainder, right? And the way that you can think of this is, how many groups of 3 are in 7? We want to choose the biggest possible number without going over. Could anybody tell me how many 3s are in 7? We want to get as close as we can without going over. Ariansh?
2.
Good. 2 groups of 3 are in 7. Our quotient goes on the top, but it's not just 2. We have what's called a remainder. It's a remainder of 1. And the way that we write it is 1 over 3 because we're dividing by 3. And let's write that as a little note even. Write your remainder as a fraction over the divisor. This is the divisor. For example, 1/3 would be the remainder in this problem. 7 divided by 3. We have 2 groups of 3, but we have 1 remaining. Okay, time for a problem to practice what we are just doing now. So we're going to divide 47 by 3 in our first problem today. 47 dividing it by 3. This is just a little extra note to remember how we write a remainder, but now we're going to get into an actual long division problem. Thumbs up when you're ready to start this. You're done writing this top note and you're ready to start. Ready to start the first long division problem. Thank you, Emma and Kruthi. Thank you, Aryanch and Alina, not only for letting me know when you're ready, but also for being really focused in writing the notes immediately. As I'm writing them down, you're writing them down. Great job. Great job, Alexander. I see you're done too. Okay. For most of you, I think it's going to be helpful to actually write out our steps to remember what to do. Not writing out every part of the problem like yesterday. I just mean the divide, multiply, subtract, bring it down parts. And let's say the chant as you write it. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring it down. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring it down. Now, on your own yesterday, did anybody have a hard time knowing what to divide? Which numbers? Dikshita, did you? Okay. Remember that this number inside the box is our total amount that we're dividing. And we always divide by this number on the outside called the divisor. So this is always what we are dividing by. We're dividing 47 into 3 groups. That's the number of groups here on the side. And our answer always goes on the top. Okay, Josiah, could you unmute yourself to tell us in this problem, we've got 47 divided by 3. What is our first step?
The first step is to divide.
Now, which numbers are we dividing?
We're dividing 3.
We're dividing 4. Remember, this is our total amount to divide. We're dividing 4 into 3 groups. Or said another way, how many 3s are in 4? Josiah, how many 3s are in 4?
How many 3s are in 12?
We're not multiplying, we're going to divide. So how many 3s are in 4? Look at this. Here's one group of 3 in the 40. Do we have enough for 2 groups of 3?
No.
Nope, we only have enough for one group of 3. So how many 3s are in 4, Josiah?
I don't really get the question.
How many groups of 3 are in the number 4? Here's one group of 3 in 4. Do we have enough for 2 groups of 3?
No.
No. So we have one group of 3 in the number 4. Can you see that? Here's one group of 3 in 4 total 10 blocks. We have one remaining, though, that we're going to divide out later. Does that make sense, Josiah? Here, let's look at it with the little ones cubes instead. Josiah, you see how right here we've got 4 little cubes. Here's one group of 3 in 4. Out of 4 cubes, we've got enough for one group of 3. But we do have something remaining. There's something left over. And I want you to write that as a question along the side here for the division step. How many 3s are in 4? Now, I know for some of you, you guys can figure this out already. You already know the concept of dividing 4 by 3. But if that's confusing to you, since it's not dividing evenly, think of it in this way. How many 3s are in 4? Well, there's only one group of 3 that can go into 4. 3 times 1 is 3, so that's our multiply step. Now it's time to subtract. Rishith, could you tell us what we're going to do next in the problem? We've divided, we've multiplied.
We subtract.
Right, and what do we write as the answer?
0.
What's the answer?
0.
What is 4 minus 3?
Oh, 1.
1, exactly. And this step is important because it's showing us how many we still have to divide. We still have 110 that we need to divide. Now, Rishith, what do we do next? We subtracted.
We bring it down.
We bring it down. What are we going to bring down?
Seven.
7, good. We've got 7 ones that we're going to divide, along with our 10.
17.
Good, so it's 17 that we need to divide. I'm going to write out those steps again. If it helps you, you can write them out twice like this and check off each time you finish a step. It's time for us to divide again, and we're going to divide this 17 into 3 groups. Does 17 divide evenly into 3 groups? No, we don't have that as a flashcard. 3 times something equals 17. So we're going to ask ourselves, how many 3s are in 17? And if you need to, if you don't know your 3 facts very well, you can skip count by 3s until you get close to 17 without going over. Marcus, do you know how many 3s are in 17? And we're trying to figure out how many 3s, how many groups of 3 are in the number.
5.
Excellent. How did you know that?
6 plus 6 is, so there's 3 plus 3 is 6. Then do that again. And then 6 plus 6 is 12 plus 3 is 15. And so then you have 5. Then you count how many 3s you used, and you end up with the answer 5.
Excellent. So 3 times 5, and that's what we'll actually be doing next. 3 times 5 is 15. That's as big as we can go without going over. Oops, I wrote 3 times 15. Sorry. If we did 6 groups, that would be 18. That's too many. 3 times 5 is the closest we can get without going over. So, and if you need to for this one, you can write out your 3s until you get to close to 17 without going over, right? 18's too big, so that leaves you with 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups of 3 get you to that 15. This is why it's really important to know your math facts well and continue practicing your flashcards every single day, because hopefully you're doing this in your head. How many of you in your head are thinking 3 times 5 equals 15? That's the closest we can get to 17. If you know your math facts well, that happens in your head, and the whole long division process is a lot easier if you can do that in your head. Okay, so we just divided 17 into 3 groups with an answer of 5, like Marcus said. Okay. Now it's time to do what? Kruti, could you tell us what the next step is?
Okay, next step is to multiply.
Good. Multiply the 3 times what we just wrote down.
What?
We're going to multiply the 3 times what we just.
Yeah, so 3 times 5 is 15.
Excellent. And we check that off even if this helps you. Write all of these steps out so that you're checking off each time you do a step. Ty, what's the next step?
What step are we on?
I'm checking them off. We just multiplied 3 times 5, which is 15. That's what we just did.
Okay,
What's next?
so it's time to subtract.
Good. And what do we subtract?
15 minus
We already have it lined up just like a subtraction problem here. Look at the one above it as your example.
So 15 minus. Oh, 17 minus 15.
Yeah, 17 minus 15. And basically, that's just figuring out how many are left over. We've grouped we've grouped all of this number, 47, into 3 groups, and we're seeing how many are left over.
Which equals 2.
Equals 2. Very good. Now that's our remainder. So we don't have to bring anything down because that is the last part of the problem. These 2, we can't divide again into 3 groups because there's not enough to divide into 3 groups. How do we write the remainder, Tig?
R2.
So that is what some people do, but we write it as a fraction so that it's a true number. Do you remember how we write it as a fraction? Looking at this one as an example.
2 out of 3.
Perfect. 2 out of 3 because it's 2 as a remainder when you're dividing by 3. This is always the denominator. It's always this over this. That's the remainder. Great job, everybody. You guys really persevered and did well with this. I highly encourage you, if you're still feeling stuck by this, to look over some of those videos I put in Bright Thinker and some of the websites that go through the steps, because maybe hearing it from a different person makes more sense than the way that I'm explaining it. Or maybe it just takes repetition. Like Kruti said, when she was doing her math problems, she had the video on, and then she'd pause when she was at the same step. I think that's a great strategy if you're still getting used to this. Now, if you already did your math pages, do you have homework today? Nope. The only homework is just to practice your math flashcards. And as you can tell, practicing your math flashcards is still really important. You've got to know those facts to be able to do these steps accurately. So finish this page, but if you've already done it, you can just quickly check that you have finished already. You have a few other assignments on Bright Thinker to do today, so I'll let you guys go and get busy on those assignments. Thank you all for your hard work in class today, especially with your hard work in math class.
Miss Gardner, there's no Princess and the Goblin.
I'll take a look on it on Bright Thinker. It should be there, but I'll take a look and there might have been a mistake. So exit out of it and go to a different assignment. Okay. Now the only people to stay today are my Wednesday reading group.
Me.
Which is Sahanas, Marcus, Josiah, Alexander, and Rishith. Bye, everybody else. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, Miss Gardner. Bye, Miss Gardner.
Bye. Have
Princess and the Goblin on the to-do list.
I don't know.
Samantha, once again, I have to check it out in the middle of the computer. You'll have to
Get some water.
How
See you
about the
later,
one
alligators.
group?